Hi, I'm Gellatly, Director of the Potter, and I'd like to talk to you today about this beautiful 19th century photograph by the Paterson Brothers of Melbourne. I have a real love for 19th century photography, so it's fantastic to be able to find things like this in our store. And I'm always fascinated in terms of Australia as a colony about how quickly photography was picked up here. So it was discovered, of course, in 1839, and the first photograph was taken in Sydney just 2 years later. And by the time we get to an image such as this, we see a real explosion in photography because it's moved from the daguerreotype, which are singular images on polished copper, through to the ambrotype, which gets rid of that highly reflective surface of the daguerreotype by being printed on glass. But photography really takes off both for studios and, importantly, for amateur photographers around this time with the introduction of what was known as the wet collodion process, which is, of course, glass plate negatives and paper printing. Why I love this image by the Paterson Brothers is it really does indicate how entrepreneurial and slightly mad photographers at this time were willing to be, because this image is taken from the top of the spire of Scott's Church in Collins Street, and then of course you're looking up Collins Street to the Treasury building, which is now referred to as Old Treasury. It's part of a 10-image panorama. We have 3 of those images in the collection, and they basically survey around from that point at the top of the spire. It was both brothers at this time were actually scaling to those heights with their equipment and glass plate negs in tow. They had to wet the plates in situ and expose them in situ and then get them back down. They're also really fascinating, of course, in terms of our insights into Melbourne at this time. You really do get a sense of marvellous Melbourne and what the gold rush had meant for the city in terms of development, with this really wide boulevard of Collins Street sort of cutting through the picture plane. But the panorama this is part of was very much about being able to convey the city both an architectural and kind of economic feat. It's very much about the establishment of empire and the great growth of Melbourne at this time as an international city. So it's very much a marker of the colony sort of asserting itself through the photographic image. And interestingly, they came into the collection via Sir Russell Grimwade, who was himself a keen amateur photographer. But what's fascinating for me, and I think it shows very much the shift in our understanding and appreciation over even the relatively short time from when Grimwade was collecting until today, was that he wasn't collecting these really as fine examples of photography, but very much about the establishment of Melbourne. And it's only subsequently that they registered both as that, but also very fine examples of what we now consider the art of early photography from the 19th century.